With an entire generation of NBA legends on the verge of retiring, we have a couple players looking to secure their all-time status, while the new generation enters looking to build their own. So we'll start with someone that might just have the most to gain in Steph Curry. If Steph is able to pull in his 5th championship, you'll see the top 10 debate get absolutely turned on its head, and for many people, he'll even enter the GOAT debate. First, him having 5 rings is going to put him next to Kobe, next to Magic. You could even argue that Steph Curry securing his 5th ring this year would not only push him up the ladder, but it could possibly pull LeBron James down. Think about it. If LeBron James is supposed to be the GOAT, how can you say he's even the best of his generation when someone else recorded more championships than he did while he was playing? Steph would certainly become the greatest point guard of all time and arguably the greatest player of his generation. Drink your water. Now our next player would begin his journey on putting his name in the GOAT debate if he were to win a ring this year. Anthony Edwards winning the championship might have both the most cultural impact just as much as it would on the hierarchy of the NBA. At just 23 years old, he would be younger than MJ and LeBron winning their first rings and just barely older than Kobe was. The NBA is desperate for the next face of the league. Europeans are great, but in a market that is literally geographically in the United States, probably helps to have the best player in your league be from the United States. And even though he doesn't want it, Anthony Edwards would instantly become the face of the league, and the comparisons of him to Kobe and MJ would start immediately. The narrative around what his career could become and everything that comes with it would follow. Each generation needs their Julius Erving, their Clyde Drexler, their MJ, their Kobe. Now it's time for their Anthony Edwards. And in all honesty, I think this is probably the outcome the league would want the most. Now, out of everyone on the list, winning the ring for this next player would probably mean the least. While Donovan Mitchell has done an incredible job leading the Cavaliers, it does seem like the Cavs have arguably the most well-rounded team in the league with some of the best coaching. What's happening in Cleveland right now could be the beginning of something special, something like we're seeing in OKC or Boston, or it could be a fluke like the 2014 Hawks. If you know, you know. And we've seen Donovan Mitchell take his play to another level in the playoffs, and if he were to do that again and lead them to a championship, it would put him in a tier right below someone like Tatum or Jokic or Giannis. However, if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wins a ring this year, he would undoubtedly receive the majority of the credit for his team's success. There is no player in the NBA with more aura than SGA. This guy has the voice of your favorite rapper and the skills of your favorite NBA player. There are few teams across the league with young cores and an extremely bright future, and none of these with a higher ceiling than the Thunder. Their entire roster still has so much growth left, and they're arguably the best team in the league for the 2nd year in a row. And if SGA could couple a regular season MVP with a finals MVP, he might just take the slot of the face of the league that they so desperately want Anthony Edwards to fill. Considering his dominance and importance to this team, if he wins a ring this year, he's going to be right in the conversation next to Jokic and Giannis in terms of legacy, but quite a bit younger. LeBron, on the other hand, is in the exact opposite position, as this could very well be his last chance at going after a championship. Hit that subscription button and turn on notifications. LeBron's situation is pretty straightforward. Win a championship, and he's the GOAT. If LeBron does secure that ring this year, he's going to move into the GOAT position for a lot of people. Winning 5 titles and getting to the finals 11 times is a crazy feat, regardless of how many times you lost there. Not to mention the longevity of his career is the foundation to his GOAT case, and for him to just be one shy of MJ with that longevity, that would probably close the gap for a lot of people. Not to mention him doing so at this age would be pretty unheard of and essentially be something only him and Kareem have ever accomplished. Kareem being the person these next 2 players are chasing. Giannis and Jokic right now sit in very similar boats. They're both one-time champions with multiple MVPs of their name, and adding another championship for Giannis on top of this season would potentially be one of the greatest seasons ever for a player. This man is averaging 31 points, 12 rebounds on 60% shooting. It's a real shame what happened to Dame because it kind of felt like the Bucks were starting to really get it together, like they could have really made some noise. If Giannis were to pull out a championship this year though, it would require him to single-handedly overtake the Celtics and the Cavaliers, which would undoubtedly be one of the hardest rings we've ever seen won, and I'd say would put him right inside the top 10. And with Jokic, it's pretty much the exact same situation, but it does seem like right now Jokic is a little ahead of Giannis in terms of all-time rankings, as you've had to be living under a rock to not have heard about the crazy stat lines that Jokic has been putting up. You understand just how absurd a 30-20-20 is? It's the first in history and probably will be the only one, but if he wins a championship just like Giannis, he's probably going to push into the top 10, and the person leaving is probably going to be Larry Bird. It's pretty straightforward. Both players are entering their 30s, but they both still have plenty of time and potential to push their legacies to the next level. This next player is the complete opposite. Jason Tatum might be the most confusing player on this list. He's the current alpha dog on the defending champions team, and he's putting up 27, 9, and 6 on 45% shooting, but you just never really hear anyone talking about him. He's the anti-SGA in everyone's eyes. He just doesn't seem seem to have that aura that you would think someone like him would have. But if he wins back-to-back championships, we would really have to start to recognize him as someone that could even be in the top 15 conversation. Would he be better than Kevin Durant? It's very possible. But it is interesting that his lone championship doesn't hold nearly as much weight as someone like Jokic or Giannis's does. The Celtics really seem to be like one of the deepest teams we've ever seen in history, a situation that this next player would probably encounter on their way to a championship if they were to win this year. If Luka Doncic were to somehow win a championship this year, it might not be the most valuable ring ever, but it certainly might be the sweetest. Luka has all the potential to be one of the greatest players to ever lace him up. If he wins a championship this year, it would probably destroy Nico Harrison's career more than it would elevate his own legacy. But should he win a championship, it would put him right next to Giannis and Jokic, even without those MVPs. Now here's some honorable mentions. Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving are both in the exact same situation. Both have one championship and could have done so much for their legacies if they won another one without LeBron James. And let's be real, the NBA really missed out when we lost the opportunity for a Mavericks-Lakers playoff series. AD back to LA, Kyrie versus LeBron, Luka back to Dallas, it would have been amazing. Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, they just don't win against good teams, and I don't believe they're title contenders. Wemby, it would have been awesome to see him put his stamp on the NBA playoffs, but right now, all we really care about is him coming back healthy. And lastly, Kevin Durant. There might not be another player who needs to win a championship more than Kevin Durant. Kobe won without Shaq, Steph without KD, LeBron without D-Wade, Kareem without Magic. What are your thoughts? Who has the most to gain from winning the NBA title this year? Does LeBron become the GOAT? Is Steph Curry now in the GOAT conversation? Is Jokic in the top 10? And does Anthony Edwards become the face of the league? Alright, that's enough yapping for today. Almost every one of my channel's viewers is not subscribed to the channel. Do me a huge favor and hit that subscription button. We're trying to get monetized. My dog and I. And if you enjoyed this video, think about watching either of these videos that's on the screen. Go out there and do something great.